I see what you mean by the Alan Wake 2 DLC being disturbing. Like the fan being kind of disturbing
Yeah,
because it
like
is.
when it is. When they're like all the people talking, it's like, wow, you're the greatest cook, waitress, and fan fiction writer of all time. How do you do it? It's like it's very funny, but also kind of sad.
Well, I was talking more about blasting away the
And
haters.
yeah, blasting the haters, where it's like
But
insanely gory.
it's so gory that my frame rate started dipping.
Yeah, because like you blow their like legs off, and the bone is there, and they're like running at you, and it's like, or because the shotgun's fully automatic, so you could just blast away when they're in the hallway at the end, and you just,
Yeah,
just ripping them apart.
I guess it is like in the Stephen King tradition of kind of mocking crazy fans.
Oh, like misery.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, because you know what, fans don't get mocked enough. I think we've definitely turned to a culture where we respect fans too much, and we should make fun
yeah.
of them more.
We should. You should read. You should read the op-ed that Alan Moore wrote about fandom.
I
Like
think I
this
will.
week, he wrote it.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, he wrote
Yeah,
it
I'm
for like
gonna.
the Guardian this week,
Oh hell yeah!
where
I'm
he's
definitely gonna
like,
check that out.
"People got mad at me when I said that people watching superhero movies are going to become fascists, and look what happened."
I was right about that Harry Potter
Oh,
bloke.
yeah. Also, you should brag about that more. You should brag
Yeah,
about hating Harry Potter way early, because everyone was like, "He's such a crank that he hates Harry Potter," and it's
is that
like,
that
"Aren't you
British
own?"
accent he has?
Yeah, he's
The
from Northampton. He's got like a very thick. I don't know.
I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever heard him talk. So
This is like a script. It's not a game script.
Right.
It's a script.
Fuck the Oscars, you know? Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you!
Because the most subtle nuances of emotions could be seen on screen. With the PlayStation 4, games have now finally reached that stage.
but we're not here to talk about fucking whatever. We're here to talk about a shitty game.
Yeah.
Heavy Rain. Thank you for sending me the article.
Yes.
And this is the Citizen Game podcast where, I mean, fucking prestige games doesn't necessarily mean the game's trying to be a movie, even though we fucking say that. But this one is a motherfucking movie. Like, in the tradition that was started with, like, Dragon Slayer, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
That's yeah. Probably
I'm gonna say
earlier
that.
than that. Sure.
Sure, I don't know. I mean, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the games that came on DVDs, like the 2000 dinosaur Disney movie had like a DVD game where it's like a choose your own adventure because it's a DVD, so you know, it's not like it's expecting fast inputs or something.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm George, and I'm with my dear friend Ryan. And you had watched a stream of this game,
So
like when you were
yes,
younger.
when I in like 2016 maybe or 2015, I watched the two best friends play or the super best friends play, whichever one it was at the time. Playthrough. So I had seen the entire game, but I had not played the game ever.
I don't expect you to remember this, but do you remember like what kind of ending they got?
They
Like,
got
what was your first
the best
experience?
ending, the one we got.
Okay,
They
yeah,
got like
which
the ending where everyone survives except the bad guy and all that.
I tried to do some really basic research on where characters could die and some of the other endings and outcomes, but it is like kind of shockingly expansive. Probably the weirdest thing, just like fast forwarding through YouTube videos, was they put a lot of effort into multiple deaths in the same scene versus like here's one moment where the character can die in this scene. It's like when there's when the building's on fire, Madison can catch on fire like 5 different ways.
And
And it's
all
like,
of
that's
them.
kind of impressive, but also kind of stupid when it comes to like content the player will see versus workload.
I mean, I think it kind of makes sense because all of those, because you would basically just treat it like death. If this was a normal video game, just death animations, but you don't respawn.
I guess, but there's a lot of unique, like, I'm just saying it's
I
like
think the
hats
workload,
off, honestly.
yeah, I think the workload would be much greater if it was more scenes where the characters could die, because those are the big, like, you don't get to see any of this content now. Anything centered on that character is just done. But if you pick one scene, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme where in that scene they die.
If this game were better, I would feel unequipped to talk about it because I mean, with seeing the different outcomes can change your entire, how you read the work as a whole.
Right.
But this game kind of sucks, so I don't feel that bad about.
And I did watch on YouTube some of the different outcomes, like at least endings. So it's basically just because it's possible, even if they don't die, for certain characters to not be present in the climax.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Norman can die, or just not solve the mystery, and in that case, he doesn't fight. We're gonna spoil the game, right?
Yeah, of course we're gonna spoil.
Yeah, okay. He doesn't fight Scott.
What about Madison? Can she just not show up too?
Yes, she cannot show up. But I know if she doesn't show up, and if she does show up and Norman doesn't, she fights Scott, and it's a totally different sequence. But she has the final fight with Scott, not Norman. If Norman isn't there and she is.
So, but before we get started on like plot stuff, I do want to take a moment to bitch about the technical aspects because it did
it
interrupt.
interfered with our playing of the game.
Holy shit. David, why did you design the game like this? Why is this the hardest thing in the game?
Counter circle.
David, why did David Cage design the game like this? What is wrong with him, genuinely? What?
And what are we doing? What's going on in the game?
We're just putting on makeup. That's it.
But why are we putting on makeup?
To seduce a fat guy.
Yes, it was very funny.
But
both
maybe
of us were trying.
If you want to play this game, maybe if you got a PlayStation, buy it, because there's a remaster on PS4. You probably want to do that because the PC version's controls are fucked.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you use a mouse or a controller. Actually, it was just straight up broken. I couldn't set fucking plates down in the beginning.
Yes.
Because something with like the stick dead zones, and I had to use a custom Steam profile to even get it to half work. Which I guess this is all very funny that it still felt really broken because we did end up getting like the good ending. But I guess it was mainly just like stick problems. So I don't know. Don't buy the PC version if you don't have to.
Yeah, it was like we were nearly unable to finish the game while putting on lipstick as Madison. We should just say that.
We really struggled.
It was an absurd struggle to just something that isn't even actually possible to fail. So it was like a weird soft lock where we were not.
That's why we couldn't progress because it's like this isn't meant to be a challenge.
It's not even supposed to be hard.
But we got through it somehow. So maybe we should also just talk about David Cage, because he is a video game auteur.
Yes.
There's not many of those. I won't be able to speak on Indigo Prophecy because I ain't playing that shit.
I did watch the Best Friends playthrough of Indigo Prophecy, and it.
Oh really? Can
you
tell me anything about it?
It's dog shit.
Is
there's
it
there's
roughly
mo-
the same format as like Heavy Rain?
sort of. Yes, in the sense there's like the whole interactive cutscenes, but it's I think a bit more of a real video game. But there's a lot of quick time events, and also there's Mayan AIs from the past and
Oh my god.
aliens. It's got like an absurd plot that's really stupid.
I mean, this game does have some curveballs that
Oh right.
I wouldn't have expected from a genre thriller of this type.
Yeah, you wouldn't, but it's like Indigo, because I know the one he made before that was Omicron the Nomad Soul.
I have never fucking heard of this.
Omicron the Nomad Soul is a game mostly known for the fact that its soundtrack was done by David Bowie, and also David Bowie is a character in the game.
Oh
He
my
voices a
god.
character in the game.
This looks like a great
Uh,
game to watch somebody else play.
Which is what I did. I watched
Yeah.
like half of the Best Friends play of this too, and then I stopped watching it because it was too confusing. But yeah, that one's like garbage. Like he doesn't talk about that one. He like kind of pretends Indigo Prophecy was his first game,
Well, I mean,
and I don't blame him for that.
um, I have not watched like extensive interviews like with David Cage, but I basically grasped that one of the key things is he kind of believes in his format of a video game as pushing the medium forward. Like people made fun of him because he basically said the PlayStation 3 will have more polygons, and more polygons means more face, which means more emotions. And he kind of said it relatively as bluntly as that.
Yes.
And he also famously said a game over screen is a failure,
He's a failure
of the game.
game designer. Which honestly, Heavy Rain, because I know people in his next game gets a lot of heat for that. Because what he does in his next game,
Beyond Two Souls,
Beyond Two Souls, is there are several stealth sequences where you can get caught, but there's no death because game over screens are a failure of the game designer. So it's just like you have endless quick time events to get out of getting caught, and there's no failure state. With this one, I do think, and I believe this is also what he does in Detroit Become Human. He does something a little more interesting, which is characters just die and are dead if you fail certain sequences, and they are dead in the story, which is obviously like the better way of handling it. So I don't know why he decided briefly to make a really stupid decision in Beyond Two Souls, and then in Detroit, I believe he goes back to the smarter way of doing it.
It's just interesting because I would say it's a bold thing to say, especially in the context that this is one of those games that, you know, it will get brought up with, it's like, is this even a video game?
I think that's stupid.
No, and it is stupid. I mean, that whole conversation is really annoying and stupid, but I'm just saying the general sentiment, or like the gamer sentiment, where like this, you don't fucking do anything, you know, it's a playable movie, it's not a game. And David Cage comes out, it's like, actually, bitch, it's the only right way to make a game.
Yeah, which I have to kind of respect it.
But
yeah, this game was I remember being really well received.
So, and you would remember, right, just browsing Metacritic things or scores. I you know, when I was like 12, I was always looking at GameSpot and IGN, so that's what I kind of go back to. And you know, we've got IGN, Quantic Dream's risky storytelling pays off with an experience that will leave you begging for more. And GameSpot's review, I'll see if I can pull up the quote real quick, their little subhead. A profoundly personal experience that should not be missed. An 85. Um, and I think it's a good candidate for us to talk about because so you watch like Mandalore Gaming, right? You've seen some of
Yeah,
his reviews, but
yeah,
he covered like a really crazy like RPG Maker game about an edgy teenager that hunts pedophiles. Uh, that had like just the most cringeworthy dialogue, and Mandalore Gaming said, "Hey, if this was like this dialogue was put in a David Cage game, people would probably praise it." Um, and then Jacob Geller in a video about like game graphics talked about it's like I think people treat these David Cage games with more respect than they deserve because they're generally really good looking.
yeah. Especially, I mean, Heavy Rain is kind of mundane now, but for the time, like revolutionary.
Yeah, and it's to me I don't think it's aged all that like graphically. And I'm not just saying it because it's a 2010 game. There are tons of 2010 games that still look really good. But it definitely feels like one of those graphic powerhouses that doesn't actually look as good once once some time goes on, which people say that about every game. But I don't know, like it the fucking loading screens where they put their faces right in front, they're so fucking
Yeah, where
proud
they're
of
just
them, you
looking
know?
around, which is so stupid looking in the actual game because it's just like Scott Shell. Someone like I think I saw someone be like POV. You're a can of soda in the supermarket, and
Which
it's
Scott
like
Shelby?
well, any of them because they're all just like
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
around
yeah,
aimlessly.
yeah.
Like they're. It does look like they're trying to pick what to buy off a shelf. It looks really bad.
Yeah, and like the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation was kind of the some of the very best games ever like ever made had some decent faces. But it really takes until like Xbox One and PS4 where like good faces are just expected, you know?
Yeah,
Uh yeah, you've seen footage of Heavy Rain no, sorry, fuck. Detroit Become Human. Uh where the technology is kind of caught up to the ambition for the most part. But
yeah.
yeah, it's just but all of that is whatever. It doesn't look as good as it used to. What does? But honestly, I think what killed a lot of it in the end was just the voice acting for me. Um, I don't
What
know. What do
killed
you
it?
think? What killed it for me? I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the voice acting is pretty good. I think
Shelby is good.
Scott
Yeah, Scott
Shelby is
Shelby's
really
great.
good. I totally buy Scott Shelby. I don't know about. I mean, Norman Jaden is fine. There's some line reads from Madison that aren't great, and of course Ethan. You know, Jason, etc. It almost feels mean to continue making fun of Ethan.
How do I sum up this game? Like why this game doesn't work without like picking it apart piece by piece? I mean, it's just maybe it's just because it has this ambition and the moment to moment is just kind of hokey and stupid looking. I mean, why didn't it work for you for the most part?
I think mostly because of that. I mean, the story is just not actually well written. I mean, that's the fundamental problem. Is that it thinks it's very clever, but it's not. It's just kind of stupid. It's like this weird Saw riff, kind of, but also like it's got all this. Well, I mean, fundamentally, the mystery is bad. Like it's a badly told mystery story because it doesn't make sense, and you can't get. I mean, we should just talk about the plot at this point because that's
Yes.
what doesn't work about it for me is the plot, and some of the mechanics are stupid, like picking up plates or whatever. But the plot kind of falls apart. Should we describe the plot? Are we assuming everyone listening has played the game?
I mean, let's start off with the base of Ethan's son gets hit by a car.
Right.
He tries to save him.
You're a middle-class architect named Ethan Mars, and your son gets hit by a car. One of your two twin sons gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
Jason. Yeah, gets fucking owned by a car.
Because he's fucking stupid.
Because he's stupid and just like wandered into a city street and just was like, huh? And just walked into it and stood in the middle of the street.
So, hey, quick tangent. Like, if your game is trying to be like a playable movie, you can't have things look really stupid, and that's like lots of games can have kind of stupid looking cutscenes, but there's other things there, and compared to The Last of Us, whatever, you get what I'm saying. That's like when your game is just literally a playable movie, you got to have some better line readings and I don't know, better scene geography. But anyways, yeah, his other son gets kidnapped by the oh my god, what's the killer? What's his name? Oh, the origami killer.
The origami killer. Yes. So a few years later, his surviving son is kidnapped by a serial killer who kills kids called the origami killer, or origami killer, as some of the characters say.
Yeah.
We're after the origami killer.
That's how Jaden pronounces it.
Yes, and I think that's also how his like asshole partner pronounces it.
Yeah, definitely.
They both pronounce it as origami. So they do that. They fight. So he's kidnapped, and then we cut over to our second main character. Or no, who do we get introduced to first? Is it Jaden or Scott?
We get introduced to Scott first.
So we cut over to private detective Scott Shelby, who dresses like he's like living in the 1940s, like with the full brown raincoat and fedora, and he's like looking. Or no, he doesn't wear a fedora, but he might as well. Like he dresses like like a private detective from the 1940s.
Yes,
and he's
this game will make
awesome.
You question what fucking year it's supposed to be taking place in.
But he's awesome.
Yes, he is. He's good.
He's like
a lot to do with the performance, but also, he's a classic detective guy, and but he also takes care of babies, and he's on the case. He's great.
Yeah, and
he gets into fist fights.
So he's a detective who's been hired by the origami killers, the parents of victims, I guess, to like investigate separate from the police. And then you have Norman Jaden, who's an FBI agent who's here to help catch the killer because the Philadelphia PD sucks, I guess. And they're all introduced pretty early. The weird thing is the fourth main character is Madison Page, who does not actually enter the story until like later than everyone else.
Well, if you were watching a 7-hour playthrough of the game, then she enters the plot approximately an hour and 30 in, which is in a dream sequence.
Right. So but she doesn't even actually enter the plot there strictly because she doesn't do anything. But she is not even introduced. She is the last introduced, definitely, after several scenes with the others. But so she's like a journalist who just got back from doing war journalism, I guess. And it opens with her in her apartment. And then she gets naked and takes a shower.
Yeah, is this a good time to talk about that? Okay, David Cage is a pervert.
He is a pervert. This is well documented. I'm not saying I'm not accusing him of a crime, to be clear, but he's well documented for being fucking weird.
And honestly, so the thing is you can make an argument for the shower because you do get to see Ethan's butt. He takes a shower
in the opening scene of the game,
but
and you see his ass
in her underwear longer, and also So I made sure I just wasn't seeing things. So I called my wife into the room and had her look at the walking animation. I was like, this isn't like a normal walk, right? This is like a booty model walk. And she's like, yeah, that's not like a normal walk. And so she's in her underwear, like basically the sound of her ass cheeks clapping alerts the burglars that
Well,
it's
yeah, so she
actually
gets
a
it, takes a
dream.
pointless shower, and then like guys in like ski masks and camo jackets break into her apartment to kill her. And then they catch her, and there's a big action scene, and then it was a dream. This was totally pointless. She's not actually involved in the plot yet.
No, and there's a fucking look. I've got like the playthrough pulled up, and it's like there's a decent chunk where we don't go back to her again.
Yeah, she's like,
And-
it's like that scene basically only exists to introduce her within the first 2 hours, even though she doesn't matter till way later.
And all of this, maybe if you had, if you're in pervert court and you've got your pervert lawyer who is arguing your case that you're not a pervert, maybe you could beat the pervert allegations. But then he released Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls, which featured Elliot Page back when he identified as a woman.
Yeah.
They fully modeled a nude body. It wasn't actually his body.
So this story was that they modeled. Yeah, they create. So the way the camera angles are in the cutscene, in the shower scene, you do not see anything like in the actual base game. So there was no reason to fully model a nude body, because it was never intended to be shown, but it is there. And if you do some not very complicated mods to make the camera free roaming during the in-engine cutscene, there is a fully nude, which is just insane.
Yeah, because
Why would you do that?
I mean, because I don't think Elliot signed up for that. I didn't reread the fucking articles, so you can look them up or whatever.
But I believe that you're correct.
That is the Better Call Saul first episode where they roll out the TV, and it's like, oh, you think you're beating the pervert allegations, David Cage? Here's Exhibit A.
Yes, and there's a later scene once Madison actually becomes part of the plot that's even worse, in my opinion, than the shower.
Oh my god!
Did you forget about this? That's why I'm like, we should discuss
yeah.
the pervert stuff there, because that's like significantly worse.
But the main thrust, getting back to the plot, probably the main thrust, at least for Ethan, is that he is basically forced into doing Saw shit.
Yes, it's
not,
like a very
know it at the time, but Scott wants to find a good father.
Well, now we're getting, but in this, like, Ethan basically, and he discovers all of the fathers, specifically only the fathers of the victims of the Origami Killer, got these notes that force them to go to places and do dangerous things to get clues to where their children are located. And it seems all the other fathers either immediately ran away or died in the attempt, from what we can tell, right?
I don't know what dying in the attempt fucking proves, you know?
Yeah, I guess it proves that you suck because you're not cool enough to survive. Well, this is the problem with Saw, where Saw
Skill
is like
issue.
a bullshit. Yeah, where Saw is like, you are depressed, so I put you in a fucking giant bear trap. And it's like you get cut in half by the bear trap, and it means, oh, I guess you couldn't overcome your depression because you got cut in half by my bear trap.
It has this it as a prestige game. You made the point. It's like, well, if this was a movie, it would just be a trashy thriller.
Yeah,
and
Saw is not an art film.
Well, and I was trying to think, yeah, but there are like trashy thrillers that are considered great, and the only one I could think of was Seven. One that kind of got greater critical appreciation. You know, I can't think of any. Can you think of any else that are like the trashy thriller that's also kind of
Yeah,
considered.
I mean, there's 7. Yeah. I mean, some people do think the first Saw is a legitimately good movie, especially
Oh
for the
well,
low budget it was made on.
yeah,
But it's not high art. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's just not like hunting down a series. It's just not. It's just weird that this is like, oh, this is gaming growing up, because it wouldn't be considered a particularly grown up movie. You know, not grown up. It's for adults, obviously, but not like.
Well, you know where it fits in? It fits into the 2010s daddening of games trend.
Yes. So actually, I was going to say this because the main theme, as you've alluded to, is fatherhood, and it seems like that 2010s era when it's like every game that wanted to have a theme just picked fatherhood, seemingly by default.
Yeah, and that is the element that is trying to strike maybe at your emotions a bit more than anything else. Unsuccessfully.
Yeah, but we should describe the plot a bit more, I think, because we have this. Yeah, so Scott Shelby, and then there's like it's mostly just doing Saw shit and doing crime scene investigation stuff. Trying to remember, when does Madison almost get cut up by a dentist, by a doctor, or does she do the striptease first?
That's like way like. Can we talk about Jaden?
Yes. So, right,
took-
Jaden has sunglasses that have VR shit in them, or augmented reality shit.
So
And
the first, like, we're introduced to him at a rainy crime scene.
Yeah, classic
which-
7 type shit.
Yeah, and I remember it just being fucking baffled. Like it's like Arkham Asylum stuff,
Yes.
like Batman shit.
And it is the only science fiction element in the entire game.
And I guess maybe it reminds me of I don't know, like Iron Man's toys, like in the first movie. I don't know. It's just, but the game is full of like touches like that. Not all of them as garish or just as like up front in your face like that. But basically, the game is predictable, and the unpredictable elements just make you go, "What the fuck? What is this shit?" I understand. It makes sense from like a as a UI to build detective gameplay off of, but it's weird how it's integrated
Into the in-universe storytelling that
yeah.
he has future glasses. That nothing else in the entire game is futuristic.
And also there's the but he's also addicted to blue stuff.
He's addicted to future drugs and to the glasses, and they're both bad for him, I think.
You almost wonder if, because Jaden has that weird ending, if it was just a remnant of like a cut element or a cut scene or something. I don't want to get into the Ethan cut stuff just yet, but
Right.
but yeah, he's just doing his own detective work. And his I guess you'd say his action moments, you have the moment with like the crazy guy with all
Right.
the crosses, which what the fuck was
Yeah.
that about?
That
I
was
don't I
just
literally don't remember.
it's a complete red herring. It means nothing. They go to this house, and it's a guy who's like convinced he's being hunted by the devil or whatever. His walls are covered in crosses. He has a bunch of antipsychotic meds he's not taking. And at one point he points a gun at someone. But there's no point. He's just like a suspect that goes nowhere.
I think you have to put that in the context of this was just when games started integrating quote unquote complex moral choices.
Yes.
Yeah, like I mean, I remember playing the first Walking Dead like pretty close to its original release, and maybe part of that is just this is an adventure game when you get down to it.
Yeah.
It's about solving. It's a point-click adventure game done up with really good graphics and everything. And The Walking Dead, which came out later, but it was kind of the discovery that, okay, well, what if instead of we were trying to, oh, you have to stuff a bird in a bucket, and that somehow will let you use a pulley that will let you solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
What if instead the choices were like, do you shoot this guy right now? What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
And
it's like that has a moment where but really there's not. There's not that many like complex moral choices. Yeah.
No, but this was like, I'm thinking of Life is Strange too. Life is Strange as well.
Yes.
Where you
Which
have
is
like
slightly
that
later
moment,
than this.
Yeah, but there was a lot of stuff where we're gonna put like almost not quite like Sophie's choices in front of you. But it's just a really cheap and easy way to make things dramatic. It's like,
But
do you fucking kill this guy or not? Even if they're not even relevant to the main plot.
Because like the whole thing with the crazy guy though is that like he looks like he's pulling a second gun, but it's just a cross. So you have the moment where it's like, do you shoot him? And I, of course, did, because Jaden's partner's an asshole anyway. So I was like, yeah, kill that guy. I don't care.
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? But it's just like, yeah, it's a split second thing. And also, it's not like it's a choice that even means anything.
I think this game suffers from, they have to put these, it feels like they felt like they had to put these red herrings in to pad things out. We need something exciting to happen right now. And so the fucking introduction with Madison is literally just comes across that's like, you're probably bored. But we can't kill her off right now. Like, she can die later, but we can't kill her off right as you start taking control of her. So we'll have some consequence-free QuickTime event drama that the player won't know is consequence-free
at the time. But it also becomes like ridiculous because, I mean, a game with multiple endings, it feels like the intent. I believe David Cage said, like, you actually should not replay my game.
That's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, hang on, let me make sure I'm right. That kind of has a problem where it's like in a game where people are probably going to replay it because it like has multiple endings and stuff.
It's also not personal. Like,
it's also not, because that's the thing. Replaying it reveals
amount of outcomes. Like,
and I think the real thing is that replaying it reveals that. But it also makes moments like Madison's introduction scene or Norman maybe shooting that guy with the cross meaningless, because it's like, well, you know what happens. So it's like, it doesn't matter if she gets caught by these guys in ski masks because it's a dream. And she gets caught anyway and stabbed and she wakes up. Because we're doing the most cliche.
Make a game like this, what you're sacrificing for like a more directed experience is the possibility space that more action oriented or even just physical space oriented game would allow for.
Yeah.
But Jaden just does Fed stuff, and Scott is doing like you said, his is the best because he's doing like fun detective stuff.
Yeah, Scott and Jaden are definitely the two best character. Like, Ethan kind of sucks and Madison has,
which is a problem because Ethan's the fucking emotional core.
Is the emotional core, but Ethan kind of sucks and Madison has all the weird pervert stuff. So like Scott and Jaden are the best sections to play.
And looking at these reviews, I just can't help but feel like, people were just or at least these reviewers were just hoodwinked by the glitz and glamour of a game that looks like this with the power of the PlayStation 3, and then it's
like a movie. It's like a movie. It's a movie. They finally made a game that's like a movie.
Yeah, and it's just funny because this will be done better in multiple ways you just started playing Until Dawn.
Yes, which even that is like that's probably the closest I've seen people say to like this is the good version of what it's trying to be. Because you say it's like an adventure game, but the Telltale Life is Strange style is very different.
Yeah, I'm just saying there are similarity. Yeah, it's way closer Until Dawn's way closer to this because the characters can fucking die.
And it's also the presentation. It's got the
yes,
unlike all the Telltale and their imitators. It's not trying to be. It's trying to be realistic.
yeah.
Whereas Telltale and everyone else are going for deliberately stylized.
It is kind of funny. I would not call, despite Until Dawn probably being one of the most graphically impressive PS4 games when it came out. I don't think I would call it a prestige game. There seems to be more of a we're doing genre stuff, and it's hard to describe because this is a genre game. It's riffing on it, but it is clearly there seems to be an awareness with Until Dawn. That's like, it's like Cabin in the Woods, and some characters are gonna die, and there is a certain levity to it. I mean, you got to interact with the therapist character who basically breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah, and he's played by Peter Stormare, so of course he's ridiculous.
It's just not taking itself so fucking seriously. And so you kind of just get to indulge in the, oh no, I gotta make sure these dumb kids trying to have sex aren't about to get killed.
Yeah,
like in
it's
every
not,
other horror movie.
Yeah, it's just trying to, and also I don't think it was, because it also has the prestige trait of having a ton of like movie and TV actors in it. Until Dawn, I mean, like actors you would not ever, much more than, I mean, because I know he starts getting like, in his next two games, David Cage starts getting like Elliot Page and Willem Dafoe to play main characters, right?
I guess
he starts doing the Hollywood actor thing.
But I guess he kind of backs off and Detroit Become Human.
I mean, he has actors who primarily, like he has
Mr. Krabs.
Yes, I was going to say, I don't remember his name, but he has Clancy Brown, who is like, sure.
He
is not a video game actor primarily. He is like a real ass movie. He voice acts a lot, but he's also in movies and TV shows.
He was in John Wick 4.
He's in Shawshank. He's in the fucking Shawshank Redemption. He's a real ass actor. So he's still doing that. I just think at this point in 2010, that was just not a thing in the video game industry at all, really. So he is still working with like, not like actors who have been in, or at least are known really for live action work. So that's like I guess that's just time. But also Until Dawn was not sold as like a big step forward for the medium at all.
No, it was just more of the standard, PlayStation exclusive kind of glamour.
Yeah, but it was not like treated as the future the way that Heavy Rain was when it came out.
Yeah. I suppose I should like say things I did like about besides Scott Shelby. I think some of the quick time action stuff is effective, like the cutting off your finger sequence.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty well done. And the fact that it makes you make little choices along the way that could like make it harder or whatever. Then you have to make them under pressure. I think that stuff was that particular section was pretty good. Oh, also, this is more just a neutral thing, but this game has split screens, which I don't know why that was popping off in this era. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Like showing two things at once, and the first I remember it was like MGS4, and then you kind of get it in Max Payne 3. I don't know. It just seemed to be a thing. You don't see that much anymore.
I guess. I don't know if it was like that's weird because there was a trend in I only know this 'cause of the film history thing. There's a trend in film in the 60s to play with split screen that I kind of connect that to in my head in a weird way. And I
Okay,
think it's
well, I'll give it.
interesting-
Oh, go ahead.
I think it's interesting that when you control one of those screens.
Yeah, I actually just I clicked to a scene. I was like, it's good when Madison has to get out of a building before people go into. She has to get her and Ethan out of a building, while you see Jaden and his dumbass partner waiting in the car. I guess that's pretty effective. A lot of it's also it's kind of used in that chase scene quite a bit throughout. Okay, can we kind of talk about the main twist a bit, but also just in the context of the larger game as well?
Yeah. So the main twist is so to clarify, this game has a thing where you can hold a button and hear the character's thoughts. You can like select different things they're thinking about. Usually it gives you hints on puzzles, but sometimes it's just to inform you. We almost never used it during our playthrough, but it mostly just tells you more about.
Yeah, I forgot it was fucking there.
Because it never really comes up, but you can hear the character's thoughts. And Scott Shelby thinks a lot about solving this case because that's what he's doing, right? He's like, who could the origami killer be? Wonder if blah, 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 right? He's thinking about the case, except he's the origami killer. That's the twist. And it's not a split personality thing because he knows he's the origami killer. He's pretending to investigate so that he can find evidence to destroy it. Which is honestly not a bad premise, for a story where it's like, oh, the killer's pretending to be a detective solving his own crimes. But
no, it's just poorly executed.
It's poorly executed because you hear his thoughts and none of his thoughts ever indicate. Yeah. You hear his thoughts and they're just lying.
Because I don't know if it's the worst way to do a twist, but cheating, basically. Which cheating in the sense that we are shown a completely different thing than what actually happened. So while I was streaming it with you, there is the scene where they're in an antique store, and we are shown, because we're playing as Shelby, we are shown that the guy at the antique store is on the phone, and then he just somehow winds up in a pool of blood, which led me to come to the conclusion that somebody Bugs Bunny style must have pointed a gun at the other phone and shot the bullet through the phone line to kill him. But no, it was actually it was Scott Shelby who just bashed him over the head because he was going to call the police.
But we're playing as Scott Shelby and we don't see that.
Yeah, and this is probably, this game, like I said, a lot of problems, a lot of stupid bullshit. But if this twist was well executed, I think that would make up for a lot. But it simply isn't. And it's also kind of disappointing because, he's like the best performance in the game. Like, I'm not sad that's like, obviously he takes care of a baby. You're supposed to like him and then be like horrified that he's actually the killer. But also, it just oh great, I can't fucking empathize with the best performance of the game. That's another aspect that they flub, because as you pointed out, there's like an ending where Ethan gets shot by Scott. And I know he can be killed by him several ways, but theoretically, if Ethan completes all these tasks, he is like the best dad. And it doesn't really make any sense from a character's perspective why you would kill him then.
Yeah, but it's obviously because we need to set up the fight with Norman. Because we have that in the plan, I guess. So even though, it doesn't make sense given his stated goal that he would be like, now I have to, unless he's like, oh, I still don't want to get caught. So thanks for restoring my faith in dads, but you still have to
But they
die.
didn't say. But he didn't even have that cop out. Like
No, but
ending.
that would have at least kind of papered over it if he'd been like, well, sorry.
And I told you over chat my Band-Aid solution would be that, well, first of all, in that ending, it would have been so much better if he like then hugged Ethan and he was like really creepy. Like that would have been great. That feels so like what you would have been going like. It
Yeah.
calls him daddy, you know, like that would have been great. And
Hang
creepy.
on. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, it's because he's regressing back to a child, and it's really fucking weird and creepy. That would fit like the fucking the tone of the game and everything. I think that'd be great. And then my Band-Aid solution would be if Shelby directly talked to the player and broke the fourth wall and said something along the lines of like, sorry I had to keep you in the dark, but you would have just gotten in my way. So like acknowledge that he wasn't showing the player like what was going, because you know what, you can get away, I think you can generally get away with more fourth wall breaks in a video game just because video games don't, they have a fourth wall and then you have a cord that connects you through the fourth wall because you're controlling the, you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I get what you're saying. But yeah, that would have at least been something.
That's my Band-Aid solution. You don't have to actually change that much about how the game works. You just add an extra scene solution.
Yeah.
Should we get back to pervert stuff?
Yes, we should talk about Pablo. We need to talk about Pablo.
Yeah, Pablo, he's fucking canceled.
Pablo is canceled. So there's a scene where, for some stupid reason, he has to go to the characters all have to go to a nightclub to interrogate its owner, who's like somehow involved in the stupid plot about Scott killing kids to find a good dad. But it's owned by a guy named Pablo, who Scott, when he was a police officer, helped get out of jail. And he, I guess, lets him use properties for his like
whatever you say, man. I don't
shit
remember
at all. But basically, Madison has to go try to get information out of Pablo, and the way she does it is through being sexy.
Where you as the player get to control how undressed she gets, and if I remember right, it's pretty much a choice on the player. There's not a reason to get topless. If I remember, I don't think you can fuck it up and you have to get more topless or something. I feel like you can just do it from what I remember.
Yes, and you dance sexily by moving the controller, and you seduce him, and then you grab his balls because David Cage is actually very feminist and woke. He grabs the guy's balls. He's like, oh, he also has like a kind of offensive Hispanic accent, but he's like, oh no.
That does. There's some depictions of minorities.
Oh yeah, we should also talk about that.
Well, we'll get to there, but so you know, like there are maybe a 0.001% chance that some alternate world of some alternate David Cage could have done a scenario where a woman has to use her sexuality to get information and you know do something uncomfortable to you know get what she needs and everything. But that was just that just wasn't going to happen. And this scene is as trashy and also just goofy. But I mean, inherently goofy is kind of hard for it not to be. This scene was always destined to be as trashy and stupid as it was going. There just wasn't a chance for it, you know? It's also quite an ordeal because you have to like dance the right way. There's a whole lead up to it first. Remember, you've got to get on the stage. Make sure you look like the girls he likes and everything. There's quite a bit of lead up dedicated to it as
Yeah,
well.
it's like a bizarrely fleshed out scene. Fleshed out, haha.
Yeah.
Scene. For like being basically pointless and about a fucking stupid plot cul-de-sac. Yeah, it's
well,
pretty.
yeah, and then so yeah, it really is. There's just a lot of plot cul-de-sacs. I mean, fuck. Okay, so getting to Jaden has a fight. Do you remember why Jaden is fighting a tatted up black guy in a wife beater?
It's like he's investigating the car, and he's in a
Oh yeah,
junkyard, and then there's like a big black dude who I don't remember his name. But he like it's I also the only black character in the game.
yes.
We should say that. And he like puts a gun to Jason's head, not Jason, a gun to Jaden's head, and it's so stupid. You have to like fight him with construction.
Well, that's the other thing. This not very important fight escalates to Indiana Jones level shenanigans.
Yeah, where you're in a car and you get thrown into a car crusher and you have to climb out.
And you can die by I can't remember if you can die by getting run over by a big cat thing like the bulldozer. I can't remember if that's how the black guy dies, but yeah, like that literally something out of like Indiana Jones or some shit.
Yes, which does not fit with the child murder central plot. Central plot is like dead kids.
Yeah, and I think all this just kind of comes back to why was this game praised? And it's like, it looks and sounds like a movie and it has drama in quotes in it. But if you were to actually turn this into a movie, it's like, wow, this is like really fucking stupid and this is why was that in there? Why was that in there? That was probably my number one thought that crossed my brain playing this game is why was that in there? And sometimes the answer is so we can have some sort of action or anything, and sometimes it's a genuine question that I really don't know the answer for.
I can't explain it, honestly.
I think probably the last big thing that we need to talk about is that for a very short sequence, longer than expected sequence, Scott Shelby goes on a fucking John Wick-esque.
Oh, I forgot about this. Yes. Yes. So there's like a whole fake out where Scott Shelby investigates this rich dude whose son drowned a kid. And then his son is like, I am the origami killer. But it turns out he's not, because of course Scott is the killer. But like that rich guy then tries to drown Scott and a woman he's helping in their car. And then Scott breaks out and then, just goes to town, like murdering everyone, like 30 dudes in this mansion.
Yeah, it's like, as you pointed out, so why do video games have absurd body counts? Why does Nathan Drake kill so many people? And we know why that is, because it's core gameplay, and you need a bunch of like bodies to throw at the player. Because if you add a realistic amount, that wouldn't actually be very engaging. So when you have a game that's not action focused, and also relatively grounded for the most part, grounded at least by thriller standards, why the fuck does you have a guy come in and effortlessly shoot 30 goons? It's just a bizarre choice. A bizarre choice. And also, like I said, some of the action stuff is a lot of fun. like trying to cut off your own finger, but just pressing X to shoot a guy before he shoots you, not super interesting. It was hilarious that I nailed this section. It made it funnier that I didn't fuck up a single QuickTime event.
Yeah, because if you nail it, he just gets everyone in one shot.
Yeah, like just
Like,
headshot.
Yeah, he is unstoppable in this scene if you actually, and it's not even particularly hard QuickTime events.
No,
Like,
it's
if
very
you've
much
been-
of the just press X and you're
Yeah,
good.
if you've been successfully playing the game up to this point, you will probably nail the scene. And that means that like Scott Shelby is just like the ultimate badass. He's just like bang, bang, like it's crazy. And then when Norman fights him, I'm like, if he gets a gun, it's over.
Yeah, he's just
Immediately,
gonna
because he's
pop 'em.
unstoppable. Yeah. He's got an aimbot.
He's got whatever that shit like Arthur Morgan had. He's got Deadeye. Like
That'd be awesome.
oh, but you know who else has Deadeye? Ethan does, because I forgot to mention this. Like one of the dramatic moral choices is when you have to kill another guy who is a drug dealer, but he has kids and a family as well. That's one of your you've got to do this, otherwise we'll kill your son things. And it's a whole dramatic chase sequence with shotguns and things like that. But I don't think it affects the good or bad ending, because I think our ending was pretty okay. And also, Ethan didn't go to prison, so I guess the police didn't find out about that.
No,
But,
that doesn't affect the ending, I don't think, if you shoot that dude.
Yeah, but you have the choice to, and he basically says, like, I've got kids, and when you choose to shoot him, Ethan pops his head off in like the most badass way possible.
Yes,
Says,
he says,
I've
"I'm
got
a
family too.
I'm a father too.
I'm
This
a
is my
father too. Yeah.
And then it looks away and then just bang, blows his head off. It's so cool.
I swear I've seen that animation in like Manhunt. Like it's fucking wild.
Yeah,
like,
and especially because like I actually like that shootout scene way more than Scott in the mansion, because he's like, Ethan sucks at it and it's really messy and he's just mostly running away.
I think what they were going for is that he's looking away and not wanting to look at what he's done. But what it came across as, oh, this guy's a pro. He's not getting blood splattered on his face. Getting his eyes.
He's done this before, which is definitely so we should, before we stop, we should talk about the cut content.
Oh yeah, we should finally. And I don't like where did you see like people talking about this?
In the Best Friends Play thing.
Okay.
So in Early and Heavy Rain, it's established. Hang on.
Well, one of the first big things is that he has these dreams.
So Ethan has dreams where he blacks out and he sort of wanders around, and we don't ever see them, but he describes visions of drowning bodies. And it's because when his son is kidnapped by the Origami Killer, he's having one of these blackouts where he basically wanders away from he wanders away from where his son is, and that's how his son disappears, right?
Yeah.
And these blackouts, which he's been having for the last couple months, because we know he meet his psychiatrist, are never like explained. They just stop getting mentioned at a certain point in the plot. And by the end, I assume in the good endings, he just doesn't have them anymore. But that's because originally he was going to have because it's revealed that Scott got the idea to become the Origami Killer from watching Jason get hit by a car. And so they have this connection. And originally it was going to be that was a psychic connection. And that Ethan was having these blackouts when Scott was killing or was kidnapping because of their psychic connection. But then David Cage decided that was too stupid. And so he just cut the psychic stuff. Because that means in addition to like weird sci-fi elements, there'd also be weird minor supernatural elements like magic, which I guess was too much.
But it's weird that it's almost like they didn't cut enough.
because it was still, you still needed the police to suspect Ethan, and even Ethan to think he might be the killer at some point. Because for a while, he's convinced he's the killer.
Right.
So you need him to still have the blackouts, but the blackouts are now just like unexplained and stop being mentioned after a certain point. So you had to keep them in, but you couldn't but it just feels like this weird dangling plot thread in the final game.
Yeah, and honestly, out of a lot of the elements in this game, that one I'm more willing to forgive just because it's a clear case of, man, game development's hard, like it's way harder to like cut around shit, and it's like, how do I put this? It's reshoots work differently in a game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, now that we're just talking about, going all over the place, Jaden's a fucking annoying asshole. He's basically like, one of those Google Glasses early adopters. Apparently, like how Tim Pool was, like, just annoying all the other people at Vice, like going around with his fucking Google Glasses. He like plays like a dumbass game where he's throwing a fake ball and shit. And so that right from the start made me dislike Jaden. Well, what do we have anything else we want to say?
No, I think I've said everything about this fucking game.
I think my final thing would be since we're you're playing Until Dawn. Another big thing, because we got stuck on doing a QuickTime event, not QuickTime event, but doing lipstick.
Yes.
Until Dawn generally doesn't make you do a bunch of like mundane bullshit.
Yeah, that's another thing that the game has that rubs me the wrong way. It's like, because I think of the gameplay as like, if there's a failure state, right, where you can accidentally fail, does that mean Ethan is a person who can accidentally fail picking up a carton of orange juice? Like,
and setting plates.
And setting plate, like, does he have like muscular nerve problems? Like, how is that even possible that you can have a fail state for like opening a can of orange juice or a carton of orange juice?
I could like almost understand having more of that in the beginning where you do that stuff, but I mean, the game, when you get into a car, it's never just you press a button and get into a car. And when I say get into a car, I'm talking about in one of the like less action-oriented sequences. You have to fucking, hold down the left thumbstick, now hold the right trigger, now do this. So, like, every time you perform a mundane action, you must puppet your guy doing those things. And it's pretty pointless when it's not a stressful, action-y thing. And that, probably more than anything, just made me mad at the game, like, from the moment-to-moment parts. And it's very clear that you don't need to do that, because it's been done in Until Dawn.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't make you, when you go and you're the stupid teenager taking a bath, well,
it doesn't make you individually unbutton your shirt. Like, the way this game works, you would be pressed.
Fuck, there's a whole sex scene. Like,
yes, where you do individually take off pieces of clothing. Every individual, like the jacket, the shirt, the pants, all of it. It's so stupid.
Yeah, and it's like, you are taking me out of the moment here.
Yeah. I mean, I was not in that. I did not want to be in that moment.
Well,
to be clear.
That's a great example of like, taking off your buttons in the terrible pervert section at least has a point because you're doing it for a reason. Taking off your shirt for what's supposed to be a a character moment, like it's like this just feels fucking stupid.
Especially that you can fail taking the shirt off and it becomes
Yeah.
hilarious. Where it's like, oh
Well-
no, I can't get my fucking shirt off. Like he's
Hey,
trying to have sex. But he can't get
Well,
his shirt
that they should have inserted a classic joke of him fumbling the bra. That would have been funny.
Yeah,
like,
but
fuck
no,
up,
it's
that's
funnier
like-
to fail. No, it's much funnier if he's unbuttoning his own shirt and can't do it.
Unbutton his
That's-
own fucking
That's
pants.
hilarious. Yeah, he's like trying to take off his own shirt and unzip his own pants, and he can't fucking do it.
Yeah, and what you're left
That's
with,
what I mean. It's absurd that you would fail.
what you're left
that.
with is just Ethan is the most inept person to
Yeah,
ever
that's what I mean.
exist.
It's absurd that you can fail unbuttoning a shirt. That's not something most people consider like possible to fail at. Like, and
Oh my god.
it's not like his
Okay.
character is disabled. It's just like they just didn't figure out a better way to build the game. I mean, I know there's like a game called like Manual Samuel where you're dead and you have to manually breathe and blink
Oh shit.
because you're like possessing a dead body. So
That
it's
sounds like some quap shit.
It is basically where it's like you gotta press the space bar to breathe every like 5 seconds or you'll start passing out. And your vision will get worse if you don't every like 2 seconds press the button that blinks.
At least David Cage did not make you blink. He
Yeah.
didn't make you press the blink button.
That would be hilarious. That's like something a parody of David Cage game would do.
Yeah.
All right.
We good?
Yeah, I'm done.